Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassidy. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we're doing my most anticipated of 2023. This is a larger list than I thought I would have. And this isn't even including like everything I don't think that like I'm excited for. These are like the ones that I really want to get to, but there are like a couple, like I know that the next Skyward book comes out and I will buy that one, but I haven't read the third one yet, so I'm not like as excited about it. I'm gonna put it into categories because I do have sci-fi books, fantasy books, sequels, and horror books on here that I am excited about. Actually, I have a lot of horrors, which is really good because one of my goals for next year will be to read more horror and more sci-fi, so this list kind of encompasses both those goals. Let's go into the sci-fi first, and I will try to go in order of publication date within the genre. So for sci-fi, I am very excited for Infinity Gate by M.R. Carey. This comes out March 28th. I have previously read M.R. Carey and really enjoyed it. I read The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey and I really liked it. I had a good time with it. It's like an institute type setting. So I'm excited to try an M.R. Carey with tropes I'm not so sure about because I did like the writing style, and Infinity Gate follows a world where humanity has expanded across dimensions, but there is an AI threat to the world and might bring all of humanity's deeds and expansion to extinction, which I think sounds really cool. I like science books. I used to read a lot more sci-fi than I do now, but I do really want to get back into it. Let's keep it moving with the next anticipated release, which is Paradise 1 by David Wellington. This comes out on April 4th. Interestingly enough, I stumbled upon David Wellington when I was looking for sci-fi horror crossovers, and I found one of his other stories, The Last Astronaut, but then when I was looking at anticipated releases, I saw Paradise 1. I'm trying to look it up. This one follows our two protagonists who wake up from cryogenic sleep at their destination, which I think is like a new world, where they find another vessel there, another spaceship, but that spaceship happens to be empty, and they have to board that spaceship and see what happens, and I think we're in for some thrills in the sci-fi genre with this, and I'm super excited. This is also published by Orbit, and that has me excited. I love a good Orbit book. The next one is The Blighted Stars by Megan E. O'Keefe. This is, I believe, a space opera. She's a revolutionary, humanity is running out of options, habitable planets are being destroyed as quickly as they're found, and Nara Sharp thinks she knows the reason why. And then we have the heir to the dynasty, Tarquin Mercator. Never wanted to run a galaxy-spanning business empire, he just wanted to study geology and read books, but Tarquin's father has tasked him with monitoring the settlement of a new planet, and he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Disguised as Tarquin's new bodyguard, Nara plans to destroy the settlement ship before they make land, but neither of them expects to end up stranded on a dead planet. To survive and keep her secret, Nara will have to join forces with the man she's sworn to hate, and together they will uncover a plot that's bigger than both of them. Honestly, I feel like there could be some romance in this. It could be like a bodyguard romance. I would not be opposed to that, and sci-fi, and I'm excited for it. The last sci-fi on my list is The Archive Undying, and this is by Emma Miko Candon. Sorry if I said that wrong. This one has a little bit more of a fantasy feel to it, but it's all about AI and it's all about robots, which has me super intrigued. War machines and AI gods run amok in The Archive Undying. It's a mecha fiction. When an AI dies, its city dies with it. When a city falls, it leaves a corpse behind. When the corpse runs off, only devotion can bring it back. We have a robotic god that went mad, destroyed everything it touched, killed priests, cities, all of that fun stuff. But in its final death throes, the god brought one thing back to life, its favorite child. For the 17 years since Sinai has walked the land like a ghost, unable to die, unable to age, and unable to forget the horrors he's seen, he's run as far as he can from the wreckage of his faith, drowning himself in drink, drugs, and men. But when Sinai wakes up in the bed of the one man he never should have slept with, he finds himself on a path straight back to the world of gods and machines. The Archive Undying is the first volume of a sci-fi series where AI, deities, and brutal police states clash, wielding giant robots steered by pilot priests with corrupted bodies. Come get in the robot. Like, how fun does that sound? I'm so obsessed with, like, the AI idea. It was something I actually really enjoyed in Ashes of the Sun, is like the creatures controlled by humans, and I thought that was really fun, and I'm excited to see it in more of a technological AI form where it's not necessarily like controlled, but you know, artificial intelligence is always such a fun idea, and I'm here for it. And this one sounds so freaking good. Who's this published by? It's published by Tor. Before we move on into fantasy, because I know it's what you're all waiting for, let's move on into horror. I actually have a lot of horrors to talk about. We have standard ones that are How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, which comes out January 17th. I have a love-dislike relationship for Grady Hendrix. I love some, I dislike some, and I'm excited to see where I fall for How to Sell a Haunted House. This is also the unofficially official book club pick for January, so read it with us in January. The next one is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I enjoyed No Exit by Taylor Adams, and so I wanted to pick up his new release. This comes out April 25th. I'm not telling you a lot about the horrors because I didn't read the synopsis. Most of these are based on authors that I've read from before and enjoyed before. If you enjoyed No Exit, maybe pick up The Last Word with me. I know Taylor Adams' other book was kind of a miss, so I'm hoping this one will be a hit for people. Then we have The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This comes out June 20th, just in time for my birthday. I'm really excited about this one. Again, I love some of Sager. I really, really strongly dislike some of Sager's writing, and I'm excited to see where this one falls. I think the cover, I'm on the really weird side where, like, I kind of like the cover, but I know so many people hate it, and I shouldn't like it. It's like, I don't know. But I don't own his covers, so I don't really care as much. It's more like a like in terms of, like, I feel like the vibe's okay, but like I wouldn't want it on my shelf. But I know nothing about this one. I think it gives me like one-by-one vibes, or like that kind of style of a story where people are just gonna slowly be killed just based off the cover. No idea why. I missed a June one. June 6th, we have Maeve Fly. This is the only horror on this list that I have no idea about. I have not read from this author before, but it sounded really interesting to me. We follow a character who is, I think, essentially like a Disney princess. They're like, they work at the happiest place on earth as like a princess during the day, but at nighttime they're a serial killer, and I think that sounds super cool. There's something about her brother coming to town, or like an old family friend, and the knives are in her hands this time, and I'm really excited about this one, but I just saw it and the synopsis grabbed me, but other than that, I really know nothing about it. And then we have Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates on July 11th. Now this is a winter horror, which feels really odd to come out in the middle of July, but I believe Lexi said that Darcy Coates is Australian, so maybe that makes sense. But I am excited for it. I probably won't pick it up right as it's out because I might wait a little bit until like the colder months to read it, because like I don't know if I want to read about winter in July, but I'm super excited about this one. It's like it looks like a haunted house story of hers. It's like a cozy winter setting, but horror and probably paranormal, knowing her, but I'm super excited for it. And I have a love of Darcy Coates, and I'm excited that she's coming out with 2 books next year. The other one is in the like cozy mystery style series that I haven't read yet, so I'm not excited about that one, but like I'm excited that she's coming out with another. And yeah, I'm excited to get a Darcy Coates next year. I'm still kind of hoping for one more. She published 5 technically last year, 3 full lengths and 2 short story collections. I'm really hoping for another full length coming out next year, but we'll see if we get it. And then we have Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward, which comes out August 22nd. I read The Last House on Needless Street earlier this year. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all, really, but there was elements of it that I liked, but I just didn't overly love the story. And so I think Katrina Ward has like strong writing, and I'm excited to try more from Katrina Ward, and I thought maybe her new release would be a perfect way to go. And then the last horror on this list for me is The Nestlings, which is out October 31st, which is by Nat Cassidy. I read Mary earlier this year, and I really, really, really liked Mary. I had a really good time with it, and I think Nat Cassidy is a brilliant writer, so I had to do some searching to see if this was coming out, and I saw it was. We're gonna go look up a synopsis because I forget what it's about now, but it sounded really interesting. It says it will harness the creepy paranoia of Rosemary's Baby and the urban horror of Salem's Lot, set in an exclusive New York City residential building. I'm sold already. Anna and Reed need a lucky break. They had a horribly complicated birth of their first child, which has left Anna paralyzed, bitter, and struggling with mobility, with her relationship with Reed, and with resentment for her baby. That's about to change with the words any New Yorker would love to hear: affordable housing lottery. They've won an apartment in Deptford that has stunning architecture and disturbing gargoyles. Reed dismisses disturbing events, and Anna's deep unease and paranoia is the price of living in New York. People are odd, but he can't explain the needle-like bite marks on the baby. Like, that sounds so cool, right? Like, from what the author did with Mary, I'm so excited for what the author's gonna do with this one. That was all of my horror books. We did that really quickly. Now let's move on to fantasy. First off, we have The Keepers 6, which comes out January 17th. I actually have an ARC copy of this I need to get to. This is by Kate Elliott. I don't really know that much. I just know that Emma loves Kate Elliott and that I've been wanting to try Kate Elliott, and I thought maybe a fantasy was a great place to start. It's supposed to be action-packed, world-hopping, badass, spell-slinging mother who sets out to rescue her kidnapped son from a dragon lord with everything to lose. She'll be tested by dragon lords, a darkness so dense it can suffocate, and the bones of an old crime come back to haunt her. Sounds interesting. I know that Kate Elliott writes sci-fi, so I'm thinking there might be a blend of fantasy and sci-fi in this, but I'm not 100% certain. The next one is an indie release, and it is No Heart for a Thief, which comes out January 24th. The first line on Goodreads is, "We are the stories we tell ourselves, even the lies." And I think that was really interesting. We follow two protagonists, one who has like the magic of the land and is trying to hide it from not only the people of his village, but also the invaders, and he ends up running away, and then a couple years later he finds our other protagonist and teaches them the magic, and hopefully they will end up saving the world together. There's also like something about vengeance and a past, and that sounds really interesting to me. I'm really excited about this one. And then we have another indie release, which is 11th Cycle, which comes out February 1st. This is a grim, dark fantasy, and I'm super excited about this. It has been 1,000 years since the last seed abandoned their duty. The mists are closing in. Finally, the morning bells tolls. A new seed is born, but is it too late? The rot eats away at mortals. The witnesses pray that they may not turn into one of the forgotten, and the constricting mists infect the land with fear. But there is more to this tale than just the elders and the seeds. 4 mortals will have a part to play in Menethria's fate. A farmer girl with only love in her eye, a warrior born in the life of refuge, a highborn stuck between the realm of gods and men, and a woman running into frontline and away from home. Will the cycle finally be completed, or will the mist swallow all? A seed is born, the evil is slain, so doth another cycle commence. Yet the last seed turned traitor, and the mists which had been pushed back return. Sounds super cool. Okay, I'm really excited. There is a really big content warning on here about this book being grimdark and some of the triggers it has, but I like a grimdark, so I am excited to read it. The next one is Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. I also have an ARC for this. I'm super excited. It comes out April 11th. I mean, who's not excited for this? I read the Greenbone Saga this year. I still have to read Jade Legacy still. That's coming soon. And I enjoyed it. It's overhyped for me. I gave the books around 4 to 3 stars every time. It's not my favorite series ever, and I was left wanting a lot more from the series, but I'm excited to see if I will fall in love with this series by her. You never know. One series could be for you and one series could not, and so I'm just really excited to see. Hopefully my love for Fonda Lee will grow. I really liked the ideas in Jade City, just some of the execution didn't work for me. Then we have The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, which comes out May 9th. I know nothing about this book. I just like Mark Lawrence. I have read 3 series by him now, and so I've at least started 3 series by him and enjoyed them and plan on finishing them. I have finished one. Book the Ancestor is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. So when he said he was coming out with another book, my bank account cried, because I need them. That's all I know about this one. We also have The Sword Defiant, which comes out May 2nd. It's set in a world of dark myth and dangerous prophecy. It's an epic tale of daring warriors, living weapons, and bloodthirsty vengeance. Like, I'm sold. I'm sold. Give this book to me now. We're following characters who once saved the world, and they seized the Dark Lord's cursed weapons. But there's a new threat, and he must seek his friends that he defeated the Dark Lord without again. Yesterday's eager heroes are today's weary leaders, and some have turned to the darkness, becoming monsters themselves. If there's one thing Elfric knows, it's slaying monsters, even if they used to be his friends. Wait, what? You're gonna slay your friends? I'm here. I love this idea of, like, who used to be heroes, and as they grew, the darkness seeped in. I think that sounds so cool. I'm so excited for this one. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. Like, what? And then we have Combat Codes on June 16th. This was actually a indie book that has been picked up by Orbit, and I'm just excited to read it. I believe Rachel has read it and enjoyed it. There's a dragon on the cover, so I obviously wanted it. It's an action-packed and character-driven science fiction trilogy. Oh, is this actually a sci-fi and not a fantasy? Either way, I'm intrigued. Set in a world where fates of empires is determined by battle-hardened warriors who are trained to compete in brutal single combat. In a world long ago ravaged by war, the nations have sworn an armistice never to use weapons of mass destruction again. Instead, highly skilled warriors known as Graver Knights represent their nation's interests in brutal, hand-to-hand Combat. Murray Pearson was once a famed knight until he suffered a loss that crippled his homeland, but now he's on the hunt to discover the next champion. In underground and ruthless combat rings, an orphan boy called Seago is making a name for himself. Murray believes Seago has what it takes to thrive in the world's most prestigious combat academy. A school, like a military school. But first, Seago must prove himself in the vicious arenas of the underworld, and survival isn't guaranteed. A brutal and relentless science fantasy martial arts extravaganza set in a world where the fate of nations rests and the perfect counterpunch of real naked I'm excited for this. This sounds really good. Patrick rated it 4 stars. I'm sold. Okay, my camera died and I'm far too cold and lazy to put on the cute little outfit I had on 2 hours ago because I had to wait for a battery to charge. So you're getting a good old sweater while we finish the last part of this video. The last one for fantasy that I'm excited about is the new S.A. Chakraborty one. I loved the David Bad trilogy. It's one of my all-time favorite trilogies, and it's beautiful. I love Chakraborty's writing, and I'm just very excited. Also, this happens on a boat, and I love water settings, so I'm very excited for this one. I don't know what month this comes out, though. I did not write that down. But now let's get on to sequels that are coming out next year that I'm super excited about. The first one we have is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which comes out January 10th. This is the second book that continues the series, the Alex Stern series, which starts with Ninth House, and I read this whenever it came out. I had solid feelings about it. I liked it. Nothing all too special, but it was a really fun read, and I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. I enjoy Leigh Bardugo's writing. I enjoyed Six of Crows duology, and I'm going to continue reading Leigh Bardugo's stuff if it leans more adult. I won't probably continue to read any of her YA stuff, but the Alex Stern series leaned a little bit more new adult, and I was okay with that, and happy to continue it. The next one that comes out is A Shade of Madness by Thiago Abdallah. This is the second book in the Ashes of Averin series, which starts with A Touch of Light. A Touch of Light could possibly be my favorite read of the year, and I'm super excited to get to the second book. I have an e-arc of it currently, thank you Thiago, and I need to get to it ASAP so I can read it and love it. I don't know if I said this comes out January 24th. I'm so stoked. If you have not read A Touch of Light, please do. I will rave about it I know it'll be in the top 10 for sure, and it'll be high up there. I think it could be number 1. I think it could. It's gonna be 1, 2, or 3. There's 3 books currently that are in contender for that first spot for me, and it's one of them. The next one that comes out is 80 Will Sin by Daniel T. Jackson. This is the second book in the Ilborn series, Ilborn Saga. This comes out January 28th. I also really loved Ilborn when I read it this year. I gave it 4 stars. It was a wonderful time, beautifully written, cool magic. It will also probably be that one will be on my top indie list for sure. If it doesn't make it onto my top 10 of the entire year, it'll be on my top indie list. And I had a really, really, really good time with it. I'm really excited to get to the second. And then the next sequel that comes out is The Bone Shard War, which is the last book in the Drowning trilogy by Andrea Stewart. I really, really, really loved The Bone Shard Daughter, but The Bone Shard Emperor, the second book, kind of fell flat for me. I feel like it had middle book syndrome, so I'm really hopeful and excited for the last book in the series. It is a non-Western setting. There is an animal companion, we have one POV that's on a boat, and there is a really interesting, unique magic system that resolves around like constructs and shards, and it's really, really cool. I am hopefully going to love the last book in the series. And then the next one is He Who Drowned the Empire, which is the next book that comes after She Who Became the Sun, which I read really early this year and really, really adored. And another non-Western setting, I loved the story that happened in that one. I'm super excited to see where it goes. It's a military fantasy. It was beautiful, and I'm excited for the second book. And then the last new release for me is Emperor of Rune, which is by Django Wexler. I actually don't know if this has a set date. At least I didn't write it down. I've already read this book. I received an ARC from Orbit. Thank you so much, Orbit. And it was a beautiful, beautiful ending to this trilogy. I think that if you enjoy Ashes of the Sun, you'll enjoy the whole trilogy. It's a fun ride. Rachel always describes it as gay fantasy Star Wars. You don't have to love Star Wars to enjoy Ashes of the Sun. It just takes some inspiration, and it doesn't feel like Star Wars. There's just like a cool magic system that you can relate to Star Wars with like the swords, and the Force. But it feels completely different. It feels unique. It's got sci-fi, it's got horror, all in this fantasy setting, and with really, really lovable characters and found family. I adored this last book. I've technically read it, but I'm putting it on my most anticipated releases because I can't wait to own it. I can't wait to have the finished trilogy, and I really would just like more people to pick up this trilogy. When the book comes out, I want to say it's in January or February. I will be doing a full series review for the trilogy as I've completed it, and I just really want more people to pick it up because I absolutely adored this trilogy, and it has probably made it onto my list of favorite trilogies. Even though I think I gave 4 stars across the board, every single book got a 4-star from me. There was just little things that held it back from a 5-star for me. Everyone I've recommended this book to has pretty much adored it, and I just think it's a whole lot of fun. And there's 2 siblings that are on opposite sides of a battle. It's really, really good. That's it though. I've completed my sheet of releases coming out. There are more that I am not putting in here. I know that there are more books I'm excited for. I know the last book in the Pariah trilogy comes out. I know the second book in the Bladed Faith trilogy comes out. I know the 4th book and the last book in the Skyward series comes out. I think that there's a sequel to Finley Donovan that's coming out. And there is a new Sebastian de Castell that's coming out. Those are things I'm excited for, but they weren't just like on top of my list, but they are things that I'm super stoked for. So like this isn't an all-encompassing list of anticipated releases, but it is like the ones that I'm like highly anticipating. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what your #1 anticipated release for. Mine is probably Emperor of Rune, but I've read it, so is that a cheat? And then it's probably Shades of Madness, because I'm so stoked for that one as well. Other than that, have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day. If you want to leave me an emoji, and if you want to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a building emoji, some kind of building. And if you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.